Wendy Black is from Huntington, Utah. She is Dale Black's wife. Today, Mrs. Black will speak on behalf of her family. They have two children, Ashley and Corey, and Mrs. Black's father and grandfather were Utah coal miners.
Hello, my name is Wendy Black, and I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you today. First, I'd like to tell you a few things about my husband, Dale Black. He was a terrific father. He had two beautiful children, Ashley, 22, and Corey, 17. Dale loved to four-wheeler ride. He liked to boat and hunt and fish and spend valuable time with his family and friends. Dale Bird Black was killed on August 16, 2007, at the Crandall Canyon mine while trying to rescue the 6 trapped miners, Brandon Phillips, Don Erickson, Manning Sanchez, Luis Hernandez, Carlos Peon, and Kerry Allred. Dale had 24 years of experience in the mine. 20 of those years was spent at Genwell. He started at Genwell in March of 1984. That's when Genwell was just reopening. He learned to run every piece of equipment in that mine, including the roof boulder and the miner. Dale became a production boss in 1993, and he also had 2 years as a longwall supervisor. 3.5 of those years of his experience was spent at Westridge, where he helped portal in 3 portals and develop new sections and mains. He willingly went back to Genwell because of the H2S, which is hydrogen sulfide, that they had at Westridge. He went to Genwell as a section foreman. All the men loved working with Dale. They always told me so. I have never known my husband to be afraid to go to work, but the last part of his life he was. He actually told me he was and why on August 5th. While we were getting ready to go to bed, he said that they'd been hitting the Richter scale at work, and I asked him what he meant by this, and he said that they were having big enough bounces at the mine that they were registering on the Richter scale. So I feel in my heart that he was worried enough about this that he was letting me know what was going on. This was the night before the initial collapse. He also said that the crew members had been discussing the bounces and they were worried also. On August 6th, Dale had went to work for his last day shift before his days off. When he drove up to the mine, he met a cop at the entrance. That's how he found out about the mine collapse. Right away, he was helping to get those men out. I found out around 8 a.m. That something had happened at Genwell, and I instantly called the mine conspect, and they assured me that Dale was all right. I didn't hear from him again until 10 p.m. when he arrived home. I was so relieved to see him and that he was okay, just really tired and worried about how they were going to get those men out of there. Every morning from then on, Dale was up and ready to leave at 4:15 a.m. Dale and Petey rode to work together every day of the rescue because there were so many people up there trying to help. I never knew when Dale would get home from the rescue, sometimes 8 p.m., sometimes 10. I was just glad when he came home. For the entire rescue, he would get between 4 and 5 hours of sleep before he was back up there at the mine trying to help in any way. I know how hard it was for all those rescue crews to continue to work in there every day, knowing what they knew as experienced miners. Still, they never gave up hope. On Sunday, August 12th, I sat up with Dale because he couldn't sleep. There was a meteor shower that night, so we sat outside, and he began to cry, and he told me a lot of things that had been happening at the mine. For instance, how mine manager Gary Peacock came up to Dale and said, "You know I will be taking this to my grave." Gary knows that I know what he had said to Dale, because a day or two after Dale died, I told him that I knew this, and I told him I guess it was Dale that had taken what he had done to the grave. His expression was stunned silence. On another instance, on August 5th, on day shift before the initial collapse, Dale was trying to have his miner operator pull back when shift foreman Jesse Gordon came up and asked Dale, "What are you doing?" Dale said he told him it was too risky and he was pulling out. Gordon told Dale, "You can't leave all that coal, hit it harder on the bottom." Dale said he wished he would have yelled and argued louder, pushed his point. He wanted them to move out further to section 121, but he was not being heard. I feel this has something to do with the initial collapse on August 6th, but he did what he was told to do. On the last day of Dale's life, August 16th, he didn't take his lunch bucket to work with him, which he did every day, even during all of this. And it was also the only day of the rescue he drove by himself. Why? I have so many unanswered questions about the rescue, like who was in charge of it at the time of the rescue? Who approved of this mining plan, and who was to oversee this plan and that it was being followed correctly? And who in their right mind would send rescuers underground while the mine was still bouncing, then drill from the top when they had no idea what this would do to the stability of the mine while the miners were underground mining? I would like to know how a K order, which is an imminent danger, or a closure order, be modified 15 times as they proceed into the mine. To my understanding from fellow workers, the plan was that only the minimum amount of workers would be in there while the miner was running. When finally they got the miner up and ready to go, Bob Murray and the media came in. The underground MSHA worker, Mike Shumway, told the operator not to start the miner until the plan was being followed. And another MSHA worker, Ted Farmer, overrode this plan and told them to proceed. My husband felt that he had to be there because of these trapped miners. They were his friends, all of them, and family in a way. Dale was always first man in, last man out. He had told me about the letters and the pictures that the families had put up at the mine. The one he remembered the most said, "Please bring my daddy home." This gave Dale the courage and determination to go back into that hellhole. I want to know if there are rules and regulations made to protect the miners, then who is to be accountable to make sure these rules and regulations are being followed? Please at least have one person with enough backbone to say no more. MSHA has one job, mine safety and health administration. It would have taken just one MSHA official or one official from the company doing his job to have saved my husband's life. Which one of them wasn't doing their job? Now explain something to me. How do you truthfully investigate yourself? Thank you.